Let's talk some Auburn recruiting. Hugh Freeze, he's out here just taking who he wants. We're going to cover it all. I got Jeffrey Lee from Auburn Live here. He's going to take us behind the scenes of all the action that went on out in the Plains this weekend. Week one, on the field at least, was a breeze for Auburn, winning big. Speaking of winning big, let's talk right now Prize Picks. I loved last season, but I got to admit I'm a little rusty. I didn't have the best week one, right? 2 mistakes I'm going to share with you right now. I picked more than on Connor Wegman and Riley Leonard passing yards. I knew by about the second drive that neither of those were going to hit. I took a big L there. Then I took Isaiah Bond for more than 71 yards receiving, and I took Cam Ward for more than 0.5 INT. I got my little demon emoji going for that one. Cam Ward did throw 1 INT, had an excellent game. I hit on the more than. Isaiah Bond, 71 yards receiving. He had like 65, so I lost that one too. It's real simple to play, though. Select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. This is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, makes Prize Pick the #1 daily fantasy sports app. This week on Prize Picks, I'm going to take, no, you know what? I need you guys to help me out. For just this week, too, I need your picks. Send me some. I need some winners. Comment section below. Remember, Prize Picks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Prize Picks is the most fun way to make a little bit of money during the football season. Right now, go to prizepicks.com/inside scoop. Use the promo code inside scoop to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in a lineup. Go to prizepicks.com/inside scoop. Use promo code inside scoop. Remember, Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's bring on Jeffrey Lee. We got to talk about what was going on in the Plains. It was just for the first game, there's going to be much bigger visitor list than this one. But let's talk about 5-star corner Naeem Offord. He was there. He's the Ohio State commit that, he showed up on the Plains a couple times this summer. We didn't make a huge deal about it, but what do you make of him attending for game one?
I think it says a lot, Josh. I think his actions say a lot. After he committed to Ohio State back in February, it was almost he was kind of a ghost around Auburn. He didn't show up, I think, until May. Then he came back again for Big Cat, and then here we are, the first game back.
Yeah.
And back in the season, and he's back on campus, and he's got his girlfriend and some friends with him, and he's spending time with Hugh Freeze. He's spending time with Wesley McGriff, and stayed the entire game, and then left, basically saying, I'm listening. Auburn's talking, and I'm listening.
All right. Well, I'm listening too. We're going to see what happens when Naeem Offord. He keeps showing up. We're just going to keep making a note of it. Running back Ousmane Kroma, this one was interesting because all week we talked about him potentially going to the Georgia game. We thought that that's where he was going to be, in Atlanta to watch Georgia Clemson. Nope, he wasn't there. He was at Auburn this weekend, and then on, I think it was Sunday morning, that's when the picks rolled in. Steve Wiltfong and Chad Simmons, we got the double analyst RPM pick for Ousmane Kroma to Auburn. How you feeling there?
Feeling very good. Feeling very understandable about why Chad and Steve put in their picks. We talked to him Saturday night after the game, and I tell you, he was one of the more enthused of the recruits that we talked to after the game. He was very impressed with Auburn. He was very impressed with what he saw, the attitude, the game plan, the crowd. I think the last time he was at Auburn for a game was during the Harston era, and he said, man, it was just a completely different vibe. And, he could tell it. He got to spend time with Freeze. He got to spend time with Derek Nix. Alvin Henderson, Auburn's current running back commitment, was there with him, recruiting him. So, and I thought one of the more interesting quotes from the night was, it's Auburn, Florida State, and Georgia, which is no surprise to anybody that's been following his recruitment. However, he does have a leader. He didn't want to disclose who that leader was, but I think everybody that's been following his recruitment closely, at least behind the scenes, kind of feels like Auburn might be getting over that hump. Everybody thought it was Florida State at one time. Everybody thought it was Georgia at one time. Yeah. Everybody thought it was Florida State. But here comes Auburn, and look out for Auburn. He's going to take a visit next weekend to Georgia. Got to get over that hump if you're Auburn. Got to get through that next weekend if you're, in fact, the team on top.
Yeah.
But after that, he's going to take a kind of a novelty visit to South Carolina, because he said South Carolina's not really in it for him, but he's going to visit South Carolina in the middle of September, and then he's going to have a decision after that, Josh. And I agree with Steve, and I agree with Chad Simmons that as of today, I think Auburn is the team to beat.
All right, that's pretty interesting. Now, when it comes to linebacker Elijah Melendez, he did something rare over the weekend. He's been committed to Miami for months. 2 hours before kickoff, week 1, he announces his decommitment from Miami, and he pops up on Auburn's campus. It sure feels good if you are an Auburn fan. If you want to see what happens with the linebacker Elijah Melendez, I think you just follow the visits here. I mean, he decommits from Miami the day of their first game. I mean, Miami went out and looked great, by the way.
Right.
Still, he's done with the Miami Hurricanes. Is Auburn the team to beat now? I know Ole Miss wants to get involved. I know UF recruited him for a little bit, probably Florida State also, but it seems like Auburn right now is the team to beat.
Auburn without question. And you go back to middle of the summer, Josh, he was committed to Miami. He visited Auburn and for an official visit, and he left there with Auburn on top, believe it or not. Now, that was behind the scenes. He was still committed to Miami. His plan after he left his official visit was to come back to Auburn for Big Cat Weekend, to commit to Auburn, to flip his commitment from Miami to Auburn. So I was feeling very good about Auburn's chances. And then he takes an official visit to Miami, and it was over. It was, I'm locked in 1,000%, go Canes, I'm home, blah, blah, blah. It was done. We didn't hear much from Elijah after that when it pertains to Auburn. Then last week, early in the week, we started to hear some buzz that maybe Elijah Melendez wasn't completely out of it yet, and maybe we might see him on campus soon. Well, Thursday rolls around, and we find out that he is, in fact, planning to be at Auburn this weekend. Josh, he wasn't on campus, I think, 2 hours. He was on campus for 2 hours, decommits from Miami, and then stays the night in Auburn, leaves Sunday to go home. I think he's going to have a decision sooner than later. I think it's going to happen maybe, but not immediately. I think he's going to take another week or two before he actually commits. But I do think Auburn is absolutely in the driver's seat, absolutely the team to beat, and it's going to be hard to change that before he announces a commitment.
All right, speaking of being in the driver's seat, speaking of being the team to beat, Deuce Knight, quarterback out of Mississippi, he's committed to Notre Dame, but on Friday night he was sporting that Auburn towel throughout his game. Then he shows up on the Plains on Saturday. We talked plenty about Deuce Knight last week. Everything, did it check all the boxes? Is the plan still the plan? We said it last week on a video. You kind of laid out the timeline for us. You think Deuce Knight commits to Auburn about a week from now?
I do. I think everything so far, Josh, I haven't heard anything to deviate from that plan. I think he's leaving Auburn on Sunday. I think he knows where he's going. I think if he hasn't already, he has informed Auburn of his plans. I think now only it's a matter of when. So when does he want to announce? Well, Friday night's the big rivalry game for George County and Deuce Knight. I don't think he wants to. I said this last week on your show. I don't think he wants to take away from that. It's a big game for him. It means a lot to him and his teammates. He doesn't want to take away from that. So I think this week he's going to go in business as usual when it comes to playing football. And then maybe Sunday, I'm going to be on very high alert for Deuce Knight to flip to Auburn.
Okay. All right. Now, we got to wrap it up with a prospect that was not there, but he's still at the top of Auburn's board. That's Andrew Babalola. This is another one we really don't have a timeline on. Steve keeps saying his season starts September 6th, and he'd like to have a decision by then, but we've also heard the August 28th date, the August 18th. I mean, we've heard so many dates with Andrew Babalola. I guess the better question is, do you think Auburn lands him whenever he makes his commitment?
Whew, man, you know what? I default to Michigan, and here's right now I'm almost Missouri when it comes to Andrew Babalola and Auburn. But man, Auburn sure does feel good about him. I just think everything lines up, and I've talked to several people and around his recruitment, and I'm talking at different schools and everywhere else. Michigan is the common denominator, Josh. Oklahoma thinks it's them and Michigan. Stanford thinks it's them and Michigan. Auburn thinks it's them and Michigan. Michigan thinks it's them and Auburn. The common denominator there is Michigan. He loves academics. He loves football. Those two things are going to be the most important things in determining where he goes. Well, Michigan's got one of the top, if not the top, public institutions in the country, and they're coming off a national title. However, I think things in the past week or two, excuse me, has started to tilt things a little bit more towards Auburn. I'm not there, Josh. I'm not there. I'm not ready to say
You're
Auburn's
not
the
putting your
team to
pick in
beat.
yet.
I'm not doing that. I think Michigan's going to be the team to beat until they're not. But I'm like Steve that season starts coming up Friday. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. If it's going to happen soon, it's going to happen this week, and we all think it's going to happen soon. So,
Yeah.
I do feel like it's Auburn, Michigan. I do feel comfortable in that. I've got it at 50-50, Josh, and I'm not ready to lean one way or the other just yet.
All right, Auburn fans, let us know. I said at the top, Hugh Freeze is taking what he wants. Is Andrew Babalola next, the 5-star offensive tackle? Let us know. Comment section below. Big weekend for Auburn. Big weekend at Auburn Live. Jeffrey Lee, thanks for stopping by today on the Inside Scoop.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.